All right. Welcome. We're going to go ahead and get started. I was going to let you ladies know up front, I am recording the audio of today's meeting so that I can put it on my podcast and my YouTube. So just up front, if you want to ask a question, that is great, but I will stop the recording at the end and let you ask questions if you don't want to have your question broadcasted on my podcast, just so you know up front. But welcome to our very first workout membership meeting, check-in meeting. I told myself for the year of 2024, I wanted to focus more on adding value to the women who are already buying into my coaching style, buying into the memberships that I offer, rather than just trying to strive for more and more women that are feeling like underfulfilled and still having so many questions about exercise and nutrition. And if I can answer those questions for women who are already working with me, then that is best case scenario for all of us. And so this was part of the process, was having a monthly meeting where I can come and bring you guys education and also give you a chance to talk to me in real time, which is great in a group setting because that kind of still flows with that membership idea, that monthly subscription. If you have any admin questions, please feel free to email me. My email is kelsey@heyomoreandco.com. But we can go ahead and get rolling. So one is, let's talk about nutrition. First of all, this is the number one question I get all the time, specifically about my workout memberships. Does nutrition education, is it included in the workout memberships? And in the past, like the past couple of months, I've just been saying, no, like it's not included, mainly because I'm just spinning so many plates at once. I'm still working full time. I'm still in the Army Reserves. Like there's so much going on in my life. I have to dedicate certain spots and my energy output, and having that nutrition piece just wasn't feasible. However, tonight's the first night I'm announcing it to you ladies, specifically for my workout membership ladies. If you go on my website and you log in to your member area where you manage your subscription anyways, there is a new tab that says Learn. And under that Learn tab, I will be blasting you with nutrition information. So I am bringing it to you in the new year of 2024, and I'm really excited about it. And I want you ladies to take advantage of that. So go on my website, log into your normal membership account, and under Learn, which is going to be called the Crunchy Company. And under the Crunchy Company, you will see a lot of articles I'll be posting, and that will just grow and grow and grow. As a side note, if you have a friend or family member that wants that nutrition information but doesn't want the workout membership, there is going to be a way to purchase that nutrition information as a subscription for a small monthly fee, something that's like less than $10 a month, and you'll get access to my entire database of nutrition information. That's not totally set up yet, but it will be coming in the future. I just wanted to put it out there. I'm super excited to be able to host that part of my platform on my website. And so it's coming. Nutrition information is coming, I promise. I'm just like, a new business, and I'm like a baby in this. So I'm trying to figure it all out as we go. So thank you for staying patient with me. But today, specifically today, we are talking about protein intake, and realistic ways that you can increase your protein intake and why we should be doing that. And then the second thing we're going to talk about is realistic substitutions and the way that you should think about pain management when you are strength training. I'm going to give you some really applicable ways to make some adjustments for yourself so that you feel more well informed in regards to your nutrition and more well informed in your training program, so you continue to move forward rather than this all or nothing idea that I'm continually trying to get women off of that train. Okay. So first thing, let's talk about protein. What is protein, what it's used for? Let's go over some of the basics so we have a foundation. Protein is primarily used for tissue rebuilding and repairing in your body. It is not a primary source of energy for your body. It's only used as energy. So protein breaking down in your body is only used if you're in a starvation state. So if you have a hard time building muscle, that means that you are probably in some sort of deficit rather than in a state of abundance. So when we're in a state of protein abundance, what that can look like is, at the absolute very least for women, you need to be eating 100 grams of protein per day. Now, the recommended daily value is about 48 grams per day, but the recommended daily value is only addressing what is needed to keep your body alive and your organs sustaining. It is not concerning your muscle mass, your metabolism, potential pregnancies, carrying of children, anything like that. It's not even addressing any of that. So, what I would say is for life, sure, 48 grams. If you're stuck on an island, sure, 48 grams. But if we're talking about combating this vicious cycle of the standard American diet, then we need to leverage our protein intake. At the very minimum, 100 grams. The ideal is going to be 1 gram of protein per pound of ideal body weight. Okay. So I'll walk you through that. Let's say you weigh 200 pounds, but you're based on your stature and your body frame, and you kind of know where you're at body composition wise. Maybe you should, quote unquote, be 150 pounds. That means that even at 200 pounds, if you're carrying on some extra fat mass, then you need to be shooting for 150 grams of protein per day. Now, I say ideal protein, 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, because if I told you, if you were a brand new newbie trying to get the appropriate amount of protein in, and I said, hey, you weigh 200 pounds, so you need to eat 200 grams of protein, one, that would change so much of your daily habits. That would be so overwhelming. And two is if you don't have those proper digestive enzymes working in your GI tract, that's actually going to be really hard to digest all of that meat. Hopefully, we're getting that from meat. So base level, 100 grams. Well, I can even take a step back. For survival, 48 grams. For basic, correct steps forward in your metabolism, 100 grams. And then ideal, especially when you're strength training, 1 gram of protein per pound of ideal body weight. Now, your body works off of this hypothesis called the protein leverage hypothesis. And this has pretty much been proven. You can look up a couple different articles. Speaking of the Crunchy Company nutrition blog that I can post all of this information to, I will 100% be posting about the protein leverage hypothesis. And I want you to pay attention to this. And basically what that means is it has been proven that your body primitively knows how much protein you need to be eating in order to sustain the life, like your life status, your organs, the amount of muscle mass you have, your output, all of those things. Your body already knows how much you eat. You need to eat in protein. So if you eat protein at a high capacity, your body will automatically say, you know what, we're good. We can sustain our life. We don't need to continue to be hungry and crave extra carbohydrates and fats. So if you look at these charts, I'll post them on the Crunchy Company nutrition database. But what the chart basically says is the more protein that you eat, the less, I call it, packable calories, carbohydrates and fats. If you overeat those can be a negative effect on your body. The less you will eat carbohydrates and fats in excess. So when we're talking about a process of fat loss, or we're talking about working on getting back to proper body composition, homeostasis, we're trying to find that healthy weight, find that healthy body composition, we absolutely need to be leveraging our protein, because that, on one hand, is basically shutting off some systems in our body so that we eat less carbohydrates and fat. And like I said before, what is protein used for? It's used for tissue repair. So if you're pairing that leverage with strength training, then you are doubling down on the amount of muscle mass that you will create and you will maintain. And as we know, I've talked about it a million times. What is the number one thing that impacts your metabolism, the rate at which you burn calories at rest? Your muscle mass. The more muscle mass you have, the more calories you will burn doing nothing. You burn more calories sitting on the couch breathing based on a high metabolism than you would if you were to go on a walk. Now, that's not me saying go sit on the couch. What I'm saying is we need to open our eyes and leverage that muscle mass, leverage that protein intake so that we have a high energy output, which makes that ratio of energy output higher than energy input. And that's where fat loss happens. Okay. Now, after we understand the protein leverage hypothesis, let's put in some applicable tips into our daily life so that we can fine tune that. Protein, especially from my perspective, I say protein is made up of amino acids, which are the building blocks of our bodies. Animal-based proteins contain all of our amino acids that we need. Plant-based proteins do not. So I will say it again and again. This is a big pillar of Moore and Company, is that we should be, again, leveraging the animal-based proteins because they do contain all of our amino acids rather than plant-based proteins. Another thing to notice is that plant-based proteins contain basically anti-nutrients that kind of prevent us from absorbing those nutrients well. They can be hard to digest. And a lot of the times, those items, those plant-based protein, the quote unquote plant-based proteins, some people will say like, legumes or peanut butter or something like that, right? That has protein in it. Yes. But if you look at those other macronutrients within those plant-based proteins, they will actually be higher in carbs or higher in fat by mass. So those foods should almost be labeled more as carbs and fats, not as protein. Okay. So animal-based protein, number one, that's always what we should be striving for. So my very first major tip in regards to trying to incorporate more animal-based proteins into our diet is one, just double the amount you're eating already in the settings and the meals that you're at. So if that looks like in the morning you're having 2 eggs, then to increase your protein, I say eat 4 eggs. If at lunchtime you're eating a sandwich with 1 slice of turkey, then you need to add and do 2 slices of turkey. So again, if you look at your overall calories throughout the day, you're leveraging that protein. Okay. So double the amount that you're eating at first. That can seem a little nerve-wracking, especially if you're on like a fat loss journey. But again, it's all about that leverage. Okay. The second thing that I would always recommend is buy pre-cooked meats every single week when you go to the grocery store. And what that can look like is deli meat. That can look like chicken apple sausage. That can look like in the frozen section, you're buying the grilled chicken that's like already pre-cooked, but it's frozen. That's like having that in your freezer. It's having, it's having like some dense protein sources like whole milk Greek yogurt or cottage cheese. Those things that you can automatically bank on, beef sticks, cheese sticks, those things, yes, they maybe have some fat in them, but they are pretty dense in protein, and those are going to be great for you to lean on throughout your week. Another thing about them being cooked, which is really nice, is you don't really have to meal prep. You don't have to plan your meals. If you just have a bunch of chicken apple sausage sitting in your freezer, you can take it out, cut it up, put it with some vegetables, roast it on a sheet pan, and now you have a pretty balanced meal of an animal-based protein, fat, which is probably also in the sausage, and then you have your carbohydrates from your vegetables. And that is like a very balanced, vegetable meat combination you can have for most of your meals. So that's the second thing that I would recommend. Third thing is understand that if you're going to work through this time and money, conundrum that we're always trying to figure out, right? Sometimes we have more time, sometimes we have more money. And if you come at me and you say you have no time and no money, then I say you need to reprioritize your life or we need to figure something else out. So that's usually my answer. So pick one. Pick time, pick money, okay? And what that means is if you have time but no money, then you need to prepare your food. You need to work on food prep. Just accept it, okay? But if you have no time, but you have money, you have expendable income, then invest in a high quality protein powder. And that is so necessary. Okay. In this whole food space, sometimes we can get really wrapped up in like what I call food sourcing convictions. We can kind of quickly go over my nutrition pyramid or my nourishing pyramid that I always go off of. But what that means is if you can invest in a high quality protein powder, that looks like a whey protein isolate is your first ingredient. Okay. The number one brand that I would recommend is Ascent Protein. It's a black and yellow bag. That bag is highly tracked and assessed, and the quality is really really high because of the certifications that that brand has as being one of the main sponsors of USA Weightlifting. So it's very clean in that sense. But the fact that it has whey protein isolate as the first ingredient means that that whey protein has been further stripped of more fat, so less cholesterol, which I don't necessarily care about, but that's just a note about whey protein isolate. And whey protein isolate has less lactose in it. So if you are dairy sensitive, you can probably try some whey protein isolate and see how it goes. But I would also be wary that if you find a different protein powder and the first ingredient was whey protein isolate, but then it has like 1,000 other ingredients, that's still full of junk and that's still going to hurt your stomach. So in your digestive system. So it might not be the whey protein isolate that's bothering you, maybe the additives. So keep that in mind. Another bag of protein that I would typically recommend, I haven't personally tried it or tasted it, but I've heard positive things about it, and that's going to be Just Ingredients. I will say that Just Ingredients is definitely more of a pricier brand, but it is highly sought after in the holistic food community, which means that the ingredients are going to be very clean, but you're going to pay for that with more money, obviously. Now, if we can review my nourishing pyramid really quickly, right? It's a 3-tiered pyramid. At the very bottom of the pyramid, it's going to be eating enough calories. Our body needs to be in a state of abundance, not starvation, in order to have fat loss, especially for women. Our entire bodies, our entire menstrual cycle is wrapped up in trying to release an egg, fertilize an egg, and then house a pregnancy every single month. Now, when that doesn't happen, obviously we have our regular period, we have our regular menstrual cycle to take care of that process. However, if we are in a state of starvation rather than abundance, our body's systems will start shutting down. And it says, we can't even take care of ourselves calorically. Why would we be able to take care of another? And that I know is very primitive thinking. But if you look at how women's bodies operate in a state of starvation, they start gaining weight in their abdomen and their hips. You look at a man's body in the state of starvation, what happens? They get very thin and their body still wants to produce testosterone, right? So men's and women's bodies are going to act in those states very differently. So women need to especially be in a state of abundance, meaning they are eating the appropriate amount of calories. Sorry. I just hit my microphone. That's the bottom of the pyramid. The middle of the pyramid is going to be that appropriate ratio of protein, carbs, and fats. That is the protein leverage hypothesis that I just went over. That's saying we need to leverage our protein in order to lower our caloric input from our carbs and fats, which are I call packable calories. And then at the very top of that pyramid is going to be food sourcing convictions. So again, sometimes in this holistic and this, real food world, we can get really wrapped up in protein powders. But I say, you know what? If protein powder is going to help you meet that base of eating enough calories, and that protein powder is going to help you, leverage that protein in the middle of that pyramid, then eat your dang protein powder. It's going to be okay, But then once we figure out our grocery list, once we figure out our habits, once we figure out that it's okay to eat certain types of deli meat, once we say it's okay to eat certain kinds of sausage, and we find maybe locally sourced ones, organic ones, have clean ingredients, then we can lean into food sourcing convictions for our protein intake. But we are in such a state of lacking protein so poorly, so bad here in America, especially with the standard American diet. We need to leverage it first before we get caught up in the food sourcing convictions around protein. Okay. Woo! I just whipped through that. Okay. We got like 10 more minutes. Lastly, I'm going to talk today about realistic substitutions, and I'm going to give a couple examples. If you're experiencing pain, and we're going to go over some lower body movements today. Okay. Now, I did actually already post this PowerPoint in the Crunchy Company database, the library database that I just talked about on your member site. Okay, so if you want to see the PowerPoint that I gave to my method class, which one of my fine ladies is here from that class. Hi there. That PowerPoint's already posted in my member site. So you can reference this once we're done here tonight. But when we're talking about pain, especially when we're talking about strength training, if you're going to rank it 0 to 10, I have 3 separate levels. Okay. 1 to 3, if you're pain, let's say you're lunging and your pain is a 1 to 3, you have pain in your knees. your pain's a 1 to 3 out of 10, I say train is tolerated. It's okay. Sometimes when we're getting back into strength training, we're going to have nicks and aches, and we're going to have to figure out what our body's telling us. And 1 to 3, I'm okay with. Sometimes we're all just going to have like a little nagging pain, but that can't be an excuse for us to not go and lift that day. We just need to learn how to work with it. Okay. But if our pain's sitting between a 4 and a 6, let's say you lunge, your knee hurts, you're at a 5. Okay. I say anything between a 4 and a 6, you need to, one, change the modality, which I'll talk about in a second, or you need to change the load. So the weight at which you're using. Okay. So let's use lunging, for example. Changing the modality means that you look at that exercise and you say, what type of exercise is this? A lunge, I categorize as a single leg exercise. So changing the modality means what other single leg exercise can I do that brings my pain down below a 4? Let's say a box step up, even if it's just 6 inches, it's something pretty small and like a regular stair in regular life is 6 inches, doesn't hurt your knee. That's still a single leg exercise, but you can do it in a pain-free way. Amazing. You will substitute your lunges for your box step ups at whatever height becomes pain-free or your pain goes below a 4. Changing the load looks like if you're lunging and you're holding a 20-pound dumbbell, but if you put that dumbbell down and you have no pain and you're just doing a body weight lunge, then great, do a body weight lunge. Or make an adjustment, go to a box step up and hold the 20-pound dumbbell, holding that while you're doing the box step up so that you're still loading the single leg movement. Okay. The more knowledge we have, the more confident we're going to be in making those decisions for ourselves. Okay. Now, if your pain is a 7 to 10, then that's when I put the red tape on it and I say, if your pain is a 7 to 10, then that means we're not going to exercise that body part at all. And we are going to just skip that body part for the day. What that doesn't mean is you take the entire day off and you completely skip your entire exercise regimen for the day. If you're lunging, your knee is at a 9, then guess what? You're just not doing lower body that day, and you're just going to do the upper body and the core that you can do because you're generally pain-free, and that's okay. And those are the types of adjustments that we need in order to continue to move forward. Okay. I know that can feel really daunting, but I am a giant advocate for making those decisions for yourself. Obviously within this like community and workout membership, you have the ability to direct message me. That's one of like the best things about using Train Heroic is you can message me and I will say I try to get back within 24 hours if you have a specific question. But I say use me in your form for each of your exercises. If you're having knee pain when you're lunging or when you're doing a step up or when you're squatting, send me a video. That's okay. Send me a video through Train Heroic or send me a video through direct message on Instagram and I will 1,000% get back to you and make those adjustments. That is the coaching that I want to give you ladies. Okay. I have like a tool chest full of a million things in regards to coaching and modifications and continuing to have athletes move forward. And I want to be able to utilize that for my own coaching fulfillment. So I want to be able to input that for you guys. Okay. Okay. I'm going to stop my recording and see if anybody has any questions. If I can stop this recording. There we go.